Stuart Alexander. Bennett is an English professional wrestler, actor and former bare-knuckle boxer, better known by his former ring name, Wade Barrett. He is currently signed to WWE, where he performs under the ring name Bad News Barrett. Barrett won the first season of NXT in 2010 and made his Raw debut in June of that year, rising to prominence as the leader of the Nexus, a villainous stable composed of the NXT contestants. Barrett headlined 5 WWE pay-per-view events during the remainder of the year, challenging for the WWE Championship in 3 of them. He later formed the Corre with former Nexus members, and won his first WWE Intercontinental Championship in March 2011 as a member of the Corre. Early life. Bennett was born in Penwitham, Lancashire. He lived in Preston until the age of 6, when he moved to Wales with his family. Bennett was inspired by his idol Davey Boy Smith to become a professional wrestler, and named the WWF Intercontinental Championship match in the main event of SummerSlam 1992 as his all-time favourite match. Bennett gained a degree in marine biology from University of Liverpool, working in a science laboratory and as a recruitment consultant at Venn Group's London office whilst training to become a wrestler. Bare-knuckle boxing. While living in Liverpool in his early 20s, Bennett became a champion bare-knuckle boxer, going on to fight in various locations throughout Europe. He competed in a match dubbed by the bare-knuckle underworld as the Battle of Buddha, in which he defeated a reputable opponent for a big cash prize. Afterwards, as he walked through an alleyway in search of a taxi to the airport, Bennett was stabbed with an 8-inch blade by someone who attempted to steal the cash. He has refused to elaborate on the incident for legal reasons, but the assailant incurred serious injuries, and Bennett escaped with the cash despite significant blood loss. The attack left him with a 12-inch scar that stretches from his upper back to halfway down his right triceps, and the punches he took during his bare-knuckle career left him with a disfigured nose, but he has expressed no regret over the period of his life. He incorporated his bare-knuckle career into his WWE gimmick at the request of Hall of Famer Dusty Rhodes, being introduced to the WWE crowd as a European bare-knuckle champion who had fought on the streets of Europe. His wasteland move is named after the site of many of his fights. Professional wrestling career. Early career. Bennett decided to become a professional wrestler at the age of 21, and was trained by John Ritchie and Al Snow. He made his professional wrestling debut in June 2004, using the ring name Stu Sanders, as a surprise entrant in a 30-man battle royal held by NWA UK Hammerlock Wrestling. Sanders also performed at numerous Dropkicks Wrestling, Real Quality Wrestling and All-Star Wrestling events, as well as wrestling in Wales for Welsh Wrestling. In June 2005 he beat Danny Beckett for the Dropkicks IWC Heavyweight Championship. In 2005 he feuded with Nick Aldis and Danny Dexter in Dropkicks Wrestling. World Wrestling Entertainment WWE, Development Territories and NXT. Bennett participated in a tryout with WWE in November 2006 after appearing as part of a security team on November 13 episode of Raw along with Sheamus O'Shaughnessy in Manchester, England. He had another tryout in 2007, and signed a developmental contract with them in October. He was assigned to Ohio Valley Wrestling under his Stu Sanders ring name, where he defeated Ace Steel in a dark match. He later formed a tag team with Paul Burchill and the pair faced the Major Brothers in several matches. On January 2, 2008 Sanders and Burchill defeated Colt Cabana and Charles Evans in the final of a tournament for the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship. Sanders and Burchill held the title for nearly 2 months before losing it to Los Locos in a 4-way match also involving the Insurgency and the Mobile Homers. After WWE ended their relationship with OVW as a developmental territory, Sanders was moved to Florida Championship Wrestling with several other wrestlers. On May 6, 2008, Sanders and Drew McIntyre, collectively known as the Empire, defeated the Puerto Rican Nightmares to win the FCW Florida Tag Team Championship. They lost the titles back to the Nightmares at FCW's first TV taping on July 17. The team broke up after the loss, and Sanders began wrestling under his real name before changing it to Lawrence Knight at October 9 FCW television taping. On February 19, 2009, Knight announced that he was the new FCW commentator, alongside Dusty Rhodes. He became color commentator due to an injury, in which he tore his latissimus dorsi muscle and required surgery. In August 2009, Bennett was renamed yet again to Wade Barrett, partially named for Wade Dooley. Bennett describes the character of Barrett as being an extension of his dark side. He returned to in-ring competition in FCW in December 2009. Barrett competed on the first season of WWE NXT, with Chris Jericho as his storyline mentor. His first appearance for NXT was on the inaugural episode of NXT on February 23, when he acted as Jericho's ring announcer. Barrett made his in-ring debut on the following episode of NXT, defeating Daniel Bryan. On the 13th April episode of NXT, Barrett won the Talk the Talk challenge and was awarded his own custom-made entrance theme. On May 11, Barrett was ranked in first place in the pros poll. On the 1st June episode of NXT, Barrett won the overall competition, and a WWE contract, by defeating David Otunga and Justin Gabriel in the season finale. The Nexus and the Corre. On the 7th June episode of Raw, Barrett was at the forefront of an attack by the NXT rookies, as they interfered in the main event match between John Cena and CM Punk, attacking both competitors, the Straight Edge Society, the announce team, the timekeeper and the ring announcer, before they destroyed the ring area and surrounding equipment. Cena in particular was heavily targeted by the rookies, who hit him with their finishing moves. On the next episode of Raw, Barrett and the other rookies demanded full-time contracts from Raw general manager Bret Hart, who instead fired Barrett and had the rookies removed from the building. Later in the show the rookies attacked Hart and gave him until the Fatal 4-Way pay-per-view to decide on their contracts. At Fatal 4-Way, the rookies interfered in the main event for the WWE Championship, costing John Cena the championship in the process. The following night on Raw, Vince McMahon fired Hart and announced that a new anonymous general manager had been hired and the 7 rookies received WWE contracts. The group of rookies continued their path of disrupting main events, as they attacked both Cena and McMahon, who had been acting as the referee. The following week, the group was named the Nexus. That same week, Barrett was absent from Raw as his work visa had expired and he had to return to the United Kingdom to apply for a new one. With his visa situation cleared up, Barrett returned the following week. On the 12th July episode of Raw, the Nexus, Sam's Darren Young, competed in their first match together and defeated John Cena in a 6-1 handicap match. The following week, Barrett made his singles match debut on Raw by defeating Mark Henry. The Nexus continued to feud with Cena and the Raw roster, resulting in a 7-on-7 elimination tag team match at SummerSlam. Barrett was the final member of the Nexus but submitted to Cena, causing the Nexus to lose the match. According to Jericho and Edge, the original plan was to put Barrett over, seeing as the angle was hot at the time. At the end, Jericho and Edge got eliminated by Nexus. However, Cena asked for a change and he defeated Barrett and Gabriel. Jericho said that it was a bad idea, because Barrett wasn't pushed. After Darren Young was exiled from the group and Skip Sheffield was injured, the Nexus faced Cena, Edge, Randy Orton, Sheamus and Jericho in a 5-on-5 elimination match on the 900th episode of Raw on August 30. Barrett won the match for his team by last eliminating Orton. Barrett received his guaranteed championship match from winning NXT at Night of Champions, where he was unsuccessful in a six-pack challenge match for the WWE Championship, despite eliminating Cena. The feud between Cena and the Nexus continued at Hell in a Cell on October 3, when Barrett defeated Cena to force Cena to become a member of the Nexus. The following night on Raw, Barrett, with the help of the rest of the Nexus, won a battle royal to determine the number 1 contender to the WWE Championship, when Cena eliminated himself on Barrett's orders. Barrett received his championship match against Randy Orton at the Bragging Rights pay-per-view. After ordering Cena to help him win, Cena interfered in the match causing Barrett to win via disqualification, which meant that Orton retained the championship. The following night, Barrett was granted a rematch at the Survivor Series pay-per-view, and allowed to choose a guest referee. He chose Cena, stating that if Barrett won the match and the WWE title, Cena would be allowed to leave the Nexus. However, if Barrett failed to win the title, Cena would be fired. At Survivor Series, Barrett was unsuccessful in winning the WWE Championship from Orton after Cena pushed him into an RKO by Orton. Cena was fired as per the match stipulation after Survivor Series. Due to Cena's interference, Barrett received a rematch for the championship the following night on Raw, but was attacked by the fired Cena, costing him the match. After Cena attacked several members of the Nexus over the next few weeks, they demanded that Barrett reinstate him, or be exiled from the group. On the 13th December episode of Raw, Barrett agreed and rehired Cena. As a condition of his rehiring, Cena had to face Barrett in a chairs match at the TLC, Tables, Ladders and Chairs pay-per-view, which Barrett lost. Barrett made his first appearance since the TLC pay-per-view on the 3rd January 2011 episode of Raw, where he confronted CM Punk, who had taken over the leadership of the Nexus in his absence. Punk gave Barrett the opportunity to regain the leadership, stating that if he won a three-way steel cage match involving Orton, Sheamus and Barrett to determine the number one contender for the WWE Championship, Punk would not only give up the leadership, but work for Barrett's Nexus. However, during the match, Punk came down to ringside, attacked Barrett as he was about to win and took off Barrett's Nexus armband, symbolically removing him from the Nexus. Barrett went on to lose the match. At the television tapings of the 7th January episode of SmackDown the next day, Barrett made his SmackDown debut by attacking The Big Show. The following week he was joined by Ezekiel Jackson and his former Nexus stablemates Justin Gabriel and Heath Slater, who had left the group the previous Monday. The group named themselves as the Corre. Barrett later qualified for the WWE Elimination Chamber match for the World Heavyweight Championship, but came up short after being the first man eliminated by The Big Show. On March 22, at the tapings of the 25th March episode of SmackDown, Barrett defeated Kofi Kingston to win the WWE Intercontinental Championship. At WrestleMania XXVII, the Corre were defeated in an 8-man tag team match by the team of Kingston, The Big Show, Kane, and Santino Marella. Barrett went on to successfully defend his championship against Kingston on April 22 episode of SmackDown. On the 6th May episode of SmackDown, Barrett, Gabriel, and Slater attacked Jackson, removing him from the group. On the 13th May episode of SmackDown, Barrett then challenged Jackson to a match for the Intercontinental Championship at the Over the Limit pay-per-view, and Jackson accepted. At the event, Gabriel and Slater attacked Jackson during the match, causing Barrett to lose by disqualification, but Barrett retained his Intercontinental Championship. He then defended his Intercontinental title against Jackson again on the 3rd June episode of SmackDown. During this match, Jackson threw Barrett out of the ring, resulting in a countout, but Barrett retained the title as a title cannot change hands via countout. Barrett then instructed the Corre to attack Jackson, but abandoned Gabriel and Slater, whom Jackson fended off. The following week, the Corre dissolved after Barrett, fleeing from Jackson, walked out on Gabriel and Slater in a 6-man tag team match against Jackson and the Usos, causing them to lose the match. At WWE Capital Punishment, Barrett lost the Intercontinental Championship to Jackson, and failed to win his rematch for the title on the 24th June episode of SmackDown. On the 1st July episode of SmackDown, Barrett was announced to be one of the participants for the SmackDown Money in the Bank match at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, facing Heath Slater, Justin Gabriel, Kane, Sin Cara, Daniel Bryan, Cody Rhodes and Sheamus. The match was won by Daniel Bryan, sparking a rivalry between the two. At SummerSlam, Barrett defeated Bryan in a singles match. He then had a short feud with Sheamus, where he lost on 3 occasions. The Barrett Barrage. On the 21st October episode of SmackDown, Barrett dismissed his past alliances as a legion of parasites, and claimed that the only person he needed for success was himself. He vowed that the Barrett Barrage was only just beginning. Barrett followed this announcement by beating Daniel Bryan. The next week, he began a winning streak, defeating John Morrison, Trent Barrett, Sheamus, and Randy Orton in singles competition. In November, he began feuding with Orton, and both were announced as opposing team captains for Survivor Series. Barrett's winning streak was broken on the 14th November episode of Raw, when he was defeated by Orton via disqualification after Team Barrett attacked Orton. Team Barrett defeated Team Orton at Survivor Series, with Barrett and Cody Rhodes being the sole survivors of the match. On the 25th November episode of SmackDown, Barrett competed in a fatal four-way match against Orton, Cody Rhodes, and Daniel Bryan to determine the number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, which Bryan won. Barrett continued his feud with Orton by attacking and distracting him during matches. On the 9th December episode of SmackDown, Barrett and Orton were put into two beat-the-clock matches, with the winner choosing the stipulation for their match at TLC, tables, ladders and chairs. Barrett defeated Ezekiel Jackson in 7:53, but Orton beat Dolph Ziggler in 7:51 and chose a table match. At TLC, Orton defeated Barrett after hitting the RKO in mid-air, with Barrett landing through the table. On the 23rd December episode of SmackDown, they brawled backstage, ending when Orton hit Barrett with the RKO onto a car. This led to a Falls Count Anywhere match the next week, where Barrett pushed Orton down a set of stairs before exiting through the door. Orton suffered a herniated disc as a result, taking him off television for a number of weeks. After Orton returned from injury in late January 2012, he eliminated Barrett from the 2012 Royal Rumble match. On February 3rd edition of SmackDown, Orton defeated Barrett in a no disqualifications match to end the feud. At Elimination Chamber, Barrett failed to capture the World Heavyweight Championship after being eliminated by Santino Marella. The following night on Raw, Barrett suffered a partially dislocated elbow after Big Show threw Dolph Ziggler at him during a battle royal, and was taken off television. In August 2012, WWE aired vignettes promoting Barrett's return, showing Barrett fighting at an underground fight club in an attempt to reignite the flame. Barrett, with an entirely new look, made his return on the 7th September SmackDown, defeating Yoshitatsu. He then went on a winning streak, defeating wrestlers including Justin Gabriel, Tyson Kidd, and Zack Ryder, among others. His first loss came on the 8th October Raw, when he lost a non-title match to World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus via disqualification after Big Show interfered. Barrett suffered his first pinfall loss on the 19th October episode of SmackDown, in a lumberjack match against Sheamus. At Survivor Series, Barrett was part of the winning team of Dolph Ziggler against the team of Mick Foley, where he eliminated Intercontinental Champion Kofi Kingston before being eliminated by The Miz. The following night on Raw, Barrett defeated Kingston in a non-title match to earn a match for the Intercontinental Championship. Barrett, still number one contender for the Intercontinental Championship, received a shot at the United States Championship on the 3rd December Raw, against champion Antonio Cesaro, Kofi Kingston, and R-Truth in a fatal four-way match, but was unsuccessful. Barrett failed to win the Intercontinental Championship from Kingston at the TLC pay-per-view. 2 weeks later, on the 31st December Raw, Barrett defeated Kingston to win the Intercontinental Championship for the second time in his career. Barrett made his first successful title defense 4 days later on SmackDown, defeating Kingston in a rematch. Barrett entered the 2013 Royal Rumble match and was eliminated by the debuting Bo Dallas, but Barrett later returned to eliminate Dallas as well. This started a feud between the duo, with Barrett challenging Dallas to a non-title match the next night on Raw, and Dallas pulling off an upset victory. During the month of February, Barrett and Dallas continued to feud, with the two attacking each other backstage. On March 21 taping of NXT, Wade Barrett defeated Bo Dallas for another successful title defense. During the WrestleMania 29 pre-show, Barrett lost the Intercontinental Championship to The Miz, however, he would regain the title in a rematch the following night on Raw. On the 20th May Raw, Barrett and Fandango were defeated by Chris Jericho and The Miz in a tag team match after Fandango left the match to dance at ringside and Miz submitted Barrett with the figure 4 leg lock. Barrett then lost an Intercontinental Championship match to The Miz by disqualification, after Fandango interfered, leading to Barrett attacking both Miz and Fandango post-match. On the next episode of Raw, Barrett was defeated by Fandango in a non-title match after The Miz, who was special guest referee, gave Barrett a skull-crashing finale. In June, Fandango suffered a legitimate concussion, removing him from the feud between Barrett and Miz. At Payback, Barrett lost the Intercontinental Championship to Curtis Axel in a triple threat match, also involving The Miz. Barrett received his rematch for the title on the following episode of SmackDown, but was again defeated by Axel. On July 14 at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, Barrett competed in the World Heavyweight Championship Money in the Bank ladder match, but was unsuccessful as the match was ultimately won by Damien Sandow. Barrett finally ended his long losing streak on the 31st July main event, when he defeated R-Truth. On the 5th August Raw, Barrett was to shave Daniel Bryan's beard at the orders of Vince McMahon as part of Bryan's corporate makeover, but Bryan attacked and shaved Barrett instead. That same week on SmackDown, Barrett lost to Bryan, but on the next Raw, Barrett defeated Bryan after special guest referee Brad Maddox made a fast count on Bryan. 4 days later on SmackDown, Barrett was again defeated by Bryan in a no disqualification match. Bad News Barrett and injury. After an absence from WWE television due to legitimate work visa issues, he returned on the 2nd December episode of Raw as Bad News Barrett, a persona he had previously assumed on the JBL and Cole show. He made his in-ring return on the 7th April Raw, defeating Rey Mysterio. On the 14th April episode of Raw, Barrett defeated Dolph Ziggler in round 1 of the No. 1 Contenders Tournament for an Intercontinental Championship match at Extreme Rules, and on the 21st April Raw, Barrett defeated Sheamus to advance to the finals of the tournament. Barrett defeated Rob Van Dam on the 28th April Raw in the final round of the tournament. Barrett's win earned him a match at Extreme Rules for the Intercontinental Championship against Big E. At Extreme Rules he became the Intercontinental Champion for the 4th time in his career when he defeated Big E. He then defeated Rob Van Dam at Payback to retain his Intercontinental Championship. On the 9th June Raw, he competed in a WWE World Heavyweight Championship qualifying match for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view but failed after a brogue kick by Sheamus. However, Triple H put him in the Money in the Bank ladder match for a WWE World Heavyweight Championship contract on the 23rd June Raw. The following night at the SmackDown tapings, Barrett separated his shoulder after he was thrown into the barricade by Jack Swagger, so he was pulled from the pay-per-view as a result. On the June 30th edition of Raw, Michael Cole announced that Barrett's injury will require surgery and he will be forced out of action for a number of months, effectively stripping him of the Intercontinental Championship. Acting career: Barrett had a supporting role in the WWE Studios film Dead Man Down, released in cinemas on March 8, 2013. Personal life: Bennett has 3 tattoos, barbed wire on his left deltoid, which he later expanded to cover the entire deltoid, a tribal design directly underneath the first tattoo, and a rose on his right deltoid with the words culture, alienation, boredom, and despair. Bennett is a supporter of Preston North End and tweets to the club and about the club. Also he supports the Chicago Bears. He plays the guitar in his spare time, and enjoys reading the works of Hunter S. Thompson. His favorite bands include Guns N' Roses, Manic Street Preachers, The Beatles, The Jam, Oasis, The Smiths, The Stereophonics, and The Stone Roses. On June 15, 2008, Bennett was arrested in Tampa, Florida, and charged with battery on a law enforcement officer and obstructing an officer. The arrest took place outside of Camp's restaurant and bar at 2 a.m. He was released the next day. According to FCW sources, all charges were subsequently dropped by police. The officer that Bennett obstructed was not wearing a uniform, and Bennett later stated that, had he known the man was part of law enforcement, he would not have obstructed him. Filmography: film, web series, In Wrestling. finishing moves, as Wade Barrett/Bad News Barrett, Bad News Bullhammer a Euro 2012 a Euro present, Wasteland a Euro 2010 a Euro 2012. Used as a signature move from 2013 a Euro present. As Stu Sanders, Spinebuster. Signature moves, backbreaker, sometimes while slingshotting, back kick, sometimes to the head of a kneeling opponent, big boot, sometimes to an opponent trapped in the ropes, elbow drop, sometimes from the second rope, multiple knee lifts to an opponent trapped in the ropes, neckbreaker, sometimes onto the ring apron, powerbomb, sometimes dropped into a sit-up position, pump handle slam, tornado vertical suplex, winds of change. Managers, Byron Saxton, Chris Jericho. Nicknames, the bare-knuckle brawler/fighter/champion, the Jackal, the Pinnacle, the Prince. Entrance themes, We Are One by 12 Stones, and Of Days by Jim Johnston, Just Don't Care Anymore by American Fangs, Rebel Sun by CFO Dollar. Championships and accomplishments. Dropkicks IWC European Heavyweight Championship. Florida Championship Wrestling, FCW Florida Tag Team Championship a Euro with Drew McIntyre. Ohio Valley Wrestling, OVW Southern Tag Team Championship a Euro with Paul Burchill. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, PWI Feud of the Year The Nexus vs WWE, PWI Most Hated Wrestler of the Year as part of The Nexus, PWI ranked him number 19 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 2011. World Wrestling Entertainment/WWE, WWE Intercontinental Championship, NXT, Slammy Award for Shocker of the Year The debut of The Nexus. Notes and references. External links. Bad News Barrett's profile on WWE.com, Wade Barrett at the Internet Movie Database.